We're glad that you could join us for this episode of Fall in Love with Your Energy Bill with Solar. We're going to talk about, Professor Kai, the solar guy, is going to go over how to read your energy bill. This is a topic that often causes frustration for people. So we're going to turn a topic that people often hate, into something that you hopefully will love going forward, so that you understand how to read your bill and you recognize month over month how much solar is saving you on your energy costs. So with that, let's get started. My name is Shannon Fulton. I'm Vice President of Development at Straight Up Solar. I've been here since 2013 with the company. We're headquartered in St. Louis, and I opened an office here in Bloomington back in 2015. So both Kai and I are located here in the Central Illinois office, and I've been with the company for quite a long time. Started on the roof and doing designs, and migrated toward business development. I do our policy work in Illinois. Prior to the pandemic, and hopefully will resume, I did several years of solar ambassador work in several countries in Africa and in Nepal as well. And that's how I actually came to solar, was my desire to do solar access work in developing countries. And I'll let Kai introduce himself.
Thanks a lot, Shannon. My name is Kai Ajayi. I'm a solar access manager and project developer with Straight Up Solar. Can't believe it's almost 3 years I've been with the company. After several other life iterations, I've ended up in the solar industry. And my focus now is on making sure that the solar revolution doesn't bypass Black and brown and poor communities in the same way that the information superhighway did. So I'm happy to lead our efforts in that regard, and we are very active in the Illinois Solar for All program in providing solar for nonprofits and public facilities, and also for low-income folks. That's been my focus, and I'm glad to be here and chat with you about how to fall in love with your solar bill.
Hey, well, I want to start by sharing Straight Up Solar's vision. We certainly care about people, and we care about our planet. And to do this, we focus on clean energy and building sustainability, not only in the economy, but also on behalf of the health of the environment. Our goal is to build a healthy shared future for everyone. And we built this business based on those core values. Speaking of clear values, speaking of values, we practice what we call clear values, clear with an E, which means putting community first, leading the solar tribe by education, advocacy on the policy side, respecting each other and the environment, and striving for excellence in everything that we do. So now that you know a little bit about our vision, our values, a little bit more about Straight Up Solar, we are Illinois and Missouri's most experienced turnkey solar design and installation firm. We have built over 1,900 systems, ranging from small residential up to large industrial and commercial behind the meter systems. Since 2006, that's nearing 35 megawatts since that time. We were founded by Dr. Dane Glick. He's an actual doctor, surgeon to be specific. He's a orthopedic surgeon. When he was doing his medical residency in Kentucky, he witnessed mountaintop removal, which, if you're not familiar with that practice, it's the practice of essentially blowing up and off mountaintops in order to access the coal below. This is a pretty common practice in Kentucky. And, his experience witnessing that and the impacts that it had on the local environment and population compelled him when he moved to St. Louis to start his practice to try to find a renewable energy installation company, a solar installation company to add solar panels to his home. Couldn't find anyone at the time back in 2006. Decided to sit for the licensing exam in Missouri and install his own system. And that's how this company began installing for other individuals, other businesses, and it grew from there. So just this year, we surpassed the 100 mark. We're a little over 100 people in our company between St. Louis and Illinois today. About half of our team is NABCEP certified. This is the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. This is the gold standard solar certification in the country. And over half of our people have some level of that type of certification. And we subsidize that for folks because we feel that it's so important to provide that type of professional education for our team, anyone who wants it. As a team, we're excited to help not only homeowners, but businesses, nonprofits, schools, municipalities, reduce their electricity costs, take control of their energy, and secure a powerful return on their investment. So our services range from photovoltaic systems, electric systems, battery backup, which is becoming a lot more prevalent and popular and important to people these days, smart electric panels, and service. As the solar industry matures, there are systems that require service over time, similar to your HVAC system, for example. You get that serviced periodically, and a solar electric system is no different. We're members of the Amicus Solar Cooperative. This is a really unique cooperative that originally banded together over 10 years ago, more a buying cooperative, so that small companies could leverage their collective buying power and pass on the lower cost of technology to our customers. Well, that cooperative has blossomed into best practices sharing and not only a lower cost for equipment, but an opportunity to really share our understanding of the markets across the country and to be able to leverage those partnerships. And so it's a really valuable cooperative that we're a part of. It's a group of small solar companies just like ours. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kai so he can walk you through how to read your energy bill, whether you're in Illinois or Missouri, and how to make sense of, if you have solar, how to make sense of what your monitoring portal is telling you, how much energy your monitoring portal is telling you you're producing, and how does that compare with what you're seeing on your utility bill. So, and Kai, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Thanks, Shannon. So you've gone solar, and almost every solar owner I know is in love with their monitoring portal. They're on the app. Oh, look, we produced this much energy today. Whoa, and it's this much carbon that we've offset. And it's the equivalent of having planted this many trees. And there are a number of production monitoring software out there, depending on what system you have installed. You might have SolarEdge or Envoy or SMA or Fronius. There are a number of them. And we offer the Bodhi app. And the Bodhi app, regardless of which monitoring software you have, will give you a running total of what your system's doing, what its status is. Even during the install process, it keeps you up to date on where your project exactly is. So solar owners, production monitoring, that's really their first exposure. Before they get their first bill, they're looking at the portal, and the portal is telling them, whoa, you've produced this much energy. And you'll see on this next slide, you get a graphic representation of exactly what your your system is producing. So I'm skipping a couple of slides ahead in my mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at your production monitor, your production portal, and we're going to look at your bill and see what's the discrepancy. But before I get into that, let's talk a little bit about what this solar system is doing on your roof. Obviously, the sun is hitting the panels. The panels are getting excited. Electrons being generated. They're being sent down into the inverter, which converts the DC that's being produced on the roof into AC. That goes through a disconnect switch with that red lever on it. And you follow that black line. This is all solar that's coming off your roof, and it hasn't yet hit your utility meter, which you see in the bottom right-hand corner. So that energy that comes off the roof, it hits your breaker panel, and electrons love the path of least resistance. So they're looking for demand. And sure, your utility has a lot of demand, your neighbors need electricity and so on, but the nearest demand is your home. So the electrons want to go into the closest demand, which is your home. Some of it is used there. And you'll see that that green line comes out. It says, oh, look, solar excess, what is not used by your home, hits the utilities meter and then goes up into the grid. Now at night, if it's overcast, like we're about to get 6 to 12 inches of snow, the panels are covered for a while, obviously you need to draw energy from the utility. So that green line shows a bidirectional flow. Your solar excess goes through the meter and out, but the energy you draw from the utility comes in through the meter, hits your panel, and then electricity is used in your home. So that's the general picture of how the solar system works. So here's your portal. You're looking at this portal as from August 13th through September 10th, and it's showing you every day how much energy your system is producing. Along the x-axis, you see the days of the month. Along the y-axis, you see kilowatt hours going up, down. So we've totaled this month's production to 1.17 megawatt hours. So keep that number in your head. We're going to convert it to kilowatt hours in just a second, but keep that 1.17 in your mind. So now let's go and look at your bill. At the top here, I'm showing you your total solar production is 1.17 megawatt hours, which is 1,170 kilowatt hours. I converted to kWh because that's how the utility reports it. So let's look. Circled in red, it says that the home used 769 kilowatt hours, and that you had on-site excess generation of 615 kilowatt hours. Let's leave that 154 alone for a second. So hang on a second, you say. I just looked at my portal, and it told me I produced 1170 kilowatt hours. But the utility is only crediting me for 615. There's some 500 kilowatt hours there. What the heck happened to them? I need my credit. Somebody's lying to me. Who's being unfaithful, to use this love analogy of Valentine's Day? So something funny is going on here. What exactly is going on? Well, give me a second and I'll be happy to try to explain. Remember, we talked about energy coming off the roof, going through your panel, and then path of least resistance being used by your home, and then the excess going back through the meter. Utility has no way of recording the energy that comes off of your roof and is used by your home before the excess hits the meter. So Shannon, if you tap it one more time, I think some numbers should pop up here. So there's that 1170 that came off the roof, right? And there's 615 that the utility gave you credit for, going back to the grid. Well, what about this 555 kilowatt hours? This is energy that your home used, and the utility has no idea about it. They can't have any idea about it. There's no way for them to measure it. All they can measure is what passes through their meter. So 1170 came off your roof, 555 was used by your home, 615 was sent back to the utility. They could capture that. You needed to draw 769 from the utility. They could capture that because that went through the meter. But that 555, they have no idea about. So as a solar owner, you need to be a little bit of a detective. You need to track what's on your portal. 1170 was produced. You need to see what you're credited for, 615. That's the excess that was exported. Even the utility calls it on-site excess generation. So if we think about how much energy your home actually used, you used 555 that came off of your solar on the roof, and you pulled 769 from the utility. So your home's use was actually 1,324 kilowatt hours, okay? However, what did you pay for? Let's look at the bill up at the top of the screen. Your total kilowatt hours that the utility is aware of is 769 kilowatt hours. You had excess generation of 615. And what's interesting is that in this case, in this bill, there was 154 kilowatt hours that was credited from the previous month. And it just so happens that's exactly the difference in what would have been billed. You see on the right-hand side, 154 would have been the supply total net. But you see that supply net billable is 0 because this customer had 154 hours from the previous month. They had 154 kilowatt hours this month, so their bill ended up being 0. But what you need to realize is even though the utility says your usage, your total kWh was 769, it wasn't. It was 1324 because you had 555 kilowatt hours that came off your roof that was free. You with me? I trust you are. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, could you go back just a second? You see the total credits. You got your free energy from the solar, 555. You had an Ameren credit for the excess of 615, and you had this prior unused credit of 154. And I think on my screen, it's a little bit cut off at the bottom, but that equals 1324, which is exactly what the energy that your home used. So the point to remember here is that your production portal tells you how much your solar array produced. Your energy bill tells you how much you drew from the utility and how much excess you sent back to the utility. Remember, what your home uses from the array before the excess is sent out to the utility has no way to measure. So the only way to figure it out is this detective work. Look at your production portal, look at your bill, and then you can figure out how much your home used. And that's the difference between what you were credited by the utility and what you actually used in your home and what was actually produced. Now, this is an Illinois example, and Illinois differs from Missouri in that there's something called annual net metering. So this means that from April through March, any excess that you produce from the array is credited to your account, your virtual account, if you will, in the cloud. So in this case, Ameren keeps track of your excess production, and then they apply it should you use more than your solar array produced. But at the end of March, anything you have left over, it gets zeroed out, and April 1, you start all over again. As you'll see in this next example, it's a monthly true-up. So whatever you produce excess in March, in April, it's gone away if there's excess left over. In June, you produce any excess, it goes away, it doesn't carry over. So here's a Missouri example. The reporting portal tells us that the array produced 726.8 kilowatt hours, okay, over this July 27 through August 25. So total production, 726.8. When we look at the bill, there's that 726.8 at the top. You'll see circled in red that the total usage by the home was 784. Net billable was 425 because the excess, the customer kWh to the utility, was 359. Now notice that you're getting credited for 359, but you know your system produced 726. So where's that excess? Well, you're all now experts. You know that that difference was used by the home before the excess was sent to the utility. as is illustrated in this next diagram. So here we go, the same deal again, 727 coming down off your roof, 359 being sent back to the utility. There's a difference of 368. That was used by your home. So again, the utility has no way to measure that 368. All they know is that you sent 359 back to them, and you drew 784, I'm sorry, from the utility. So in this case, your home used 784 plus 368, we'll call it 1200 just for easy math. You actually had 1200's worth of use in this month, but you only paid for, you pulled 764 from the grid, you sent 369 back, so you only paid for 424, even though you used 1200. So this is why you fall in love with your utility bill. It's actually underreporting how much energy you use, because it doesn't recognize that this free energy coming off your roof is being used by your home, and then that excess is being sent to the grid, minimizing the amount of draw you have from the utility. So your production report and your utility bill, put those two together, match made in heaven.
Thank you, Kai, as I try to figure out how to turn my camera back on.
We can hear you at least.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Hopefully that if you were having questions about your energy bills, hopefully this helps. I'm sure that you're going to have to go back and then you will get a recording of this webinar, so you'll be able to refer back to it. But hopefully this gives you a starting point to begin to understand your specific scenario and to be able to determine your real energy savings. If on the other hand, you haven't gone solar yet and you're interested in getting a quote, I'll drop that link in the chat again here shortly. Your request for information is reviewed by our solar support specialist team. So someone will call you, gather some basic information. We're going to want to understand how much energy you use so that we can match that with an appropriately designed system. And then you'll be connected with a project developer, and that person will provide you with a proposal, a custom plan, and those two steps will be handled virtually most of the time. If you are interested in having a project developer come and meet you, we certainly still do that. But it's pretty straightforward and can be handled virtually most of the time. So then the next step is, if this is going solar is something that you're interested in, then we review contracts, we move you into the whatever incentive program, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois, we take you through those steps, and then we design and build your system. We have varying queues depending on where people live right now, but we're probably somewhere in the ballpark of 4 months from contract to build. So we have a little bit of a wait. It's but the process of getting to that point of installation can start immediately. So that wraps up this webinar. I wanted to also take a minute, and then we'll get to the questions, to let you know that the final webinar in our energy resolutions of 2022 will be happening next week on the 22nd, Tuesday evening. We're co-hosting that webinar with the Ecology Action Center in Normal, Illinois. They will be talking about, Larissa Armstrong will be talking about energy efficiency and auditing and the wonderful things you can do to make your home more energy efficient so that your solar installation goes further on your behalf. So that's next week, Tuesday on the 22nd. And I will be doing that again with Larissa. And if you'd like to sign up or register for that webinar, I will put that registration link in the chat so that you have that. There it is. And I think, Kai, unless you have any additional remarks, we can probably go to the questions. And so if you've gone solar with us, we would invite you to do what we call share your solar smile on social or I'm sorry, on any of these review sites. And we would certainly appreciate it. And if you want to continue on with this theme of falling in love with your energy bill, you can write your own love letter to solar.